Okay, here we are. We're in Age of Mythology Retold Beta. What we're going to do today is go through some of the gods and the tech tree and see what the changes are from the original game, the Titans and Extended Edition, to Retold, or at least the beta for Retold. I mean, I'm sure some of it is set to change, but what it is for the beta. So we are going in with Zeus first. We're going to look at all the bonuses for each of the Greeks, and then we'll go through the tech tree and see what the differences are. So first of all, Zeus, there he is, looking pretty magnificent. He's looking pretty godly. He's got some quads on him, Jesus Christ. So focus is infantry and heroes. So that's the same as the base game. He is focused on infantry. Starts with 10 favor, which is the same as Extended Edition, and gains favor 20% faster. I'm not sure if that's the rate that he gains it in the base game, but still very similar. Now, all the gods seem to have something extra with them, or things changed. And Zeus's one is myth units cost 1 population less, which is pretty good. I mean, a weak myth unit is about 3 favor, and then the strong ones are 4 or 5 favor, at least in the base game. I think in this one, maybe they're down, or maybe it's 4. So a Colossus here costs 4 favor for Zeus. So does it cost 4 favor for 4 population for Zeus, and the same for Hades? So I assume that the population comes off in game. So that is 3 population Colossus, which is insane. So this is something that is definitely going to be very, very strong. And I'm looking forward to being able to use that as a Zeus main myself. So the next one is hoplites move 15% faster. Very similar again. Hoplites have always moved faster, and infantry do more damage to buildings. Now, I believe this was 100% before, but I could be wrong. So I think that's a bit of a nerf to the infantry doing damage to buildings, but it's still pretty good. So before we do the tech tree, we go through Hades. Hades is here. He's looking red and purple to show, I guess, he's evil and in the underworld. So Hades focused on ranged soldiers and buildings, which is the same. So 20% chance of a fallen human to return as shades. So instead of a Hades shade, it's called a shade of Hades, and I believe they're myth units, because when I was playing as Egyptian, there were the rocks that the priest threw were stars that went at them, so that normally means that it's super effective damage. So yeah, so they are probably myth units, which is pretty cool. I haven't played too much Hades though, so I don't know if you can build them, but I did see that it said they were 100 gold, which is quite interesting. Maybe it will say in the tech tree. Myth units have 20% extra HP. I like all these buffs to myth units. I think it is really clear that myth units have got a lot of focus in the beta, and I'm definitely here for it. Myth units are quite weak in the normal game. They are very strong now, but I kind of like that, to be honest. Ranged fortifications have +2 range, so I guess that's your towers, your fortress, and your town center has more range, and more range on your soldiers and your heroes. So that means Chiron's going to get an extra range that he should have, and the normal archers are a bit better for him. And there's a new change in AoM Retold, which is ballistics, which makes your archers more accurate, and they get researched instantly for Hades. So that's a couple of buffs for Hades. He didn't get extra range before, and he definitely didn't get upgrades for free, so that's pretty cool. Now we're going in with Poseidon. Poseidon, I think, is probably one of the best god arts here, with some barnacles that are growing on him. He's got the horse in the water, because obviously his horses and water are his thing. So that's pretty cool. So he is cavalry and economy, which is the same. Militia spawned from raised buildings. Now I believe that it's also from a town centre, because I did a bit of cheeky Shifting Sands cheese rush, and loads of militia came out the town centre. Unless I also killed something else at the same time, we will have to see. But I think it actually might. So caravans, cavalry, and myth units all have more speed. So faster horses, very good. Faster caravans means that you get more gold in. And faster myth units, I mean, is obviously good. Speed is such an important stat in a game like this, especially now, because raiding is even better because villagers are weaker. So that is a very good buff. Free Hippocampus is that horsey guy that you can scout with in your dock, or tanks and archer shots, which is fine, which is the same. Markets are 50% cheaper, and exchange rates improved by 15%. Okay, so now we're going to go through the tech tree for them. So maybe we'll go through some of each of the minor gods. So we've got Athena here. Unfortunately, we can't get her portrait bigger, but I think the Athena portrait is pretty good. So right off the bat, we've got the Minotaur here, which costs gold. So in the base game, in the original game, it costs food. So that's quite interesting that they've changed up some of the costings. It has messed me up because I would have expected the Minotaur to cost food, but obviously there's just some balancing. I'm not going to go through every upgrade because I believe that things are set to change. I mean, I imagine things are set to change just because this is a beta, but I just want to highlight some of the ones that I've seen. Sarissa. Now this one's really cool. You get extra range on your hoplite attacks. I mean, who doesn't want that? I love that they've added some extra abilities to the extra stats to some of the upgrades. This isn't the only one, and that one is just really cool. So Hermes still gets your spirited charge, still gets your sylvan lore, your winged messenger, basically very, very similar. Moving on into the other ones, very similar. I mean, you get a buff for Hydras and Scyllas here to get extra HP regen, but all in all, very similar. Or see if we can highlight some of these god pictures. When the game comes out, I do want to do like more of an in-detail look, but I just wanted this one to just be a quick look. So if we move over here, so we move over to see the town center, we see that Jason you can build in Age 1, Heracles has changed to Age 2, and then Odysseus, and then Bellerophon. So it's changed up where you get your ranged hero in the heroic age now. And not just that, if I hover over him here, Jason switched to ranged attack for flying units. So if you have a rock or a phoenix or something, Jason, Heracles can both take that out, which is a pretty good buff for the Greeks, especially getting the heroic ranged unit here. Now this is just generally for everybody, but for the granary, you'll notice there's no hunting dogs. So hunting dogs is completely gone. It's been replaced with hunting equipment, which is something you get in the Third Age, which basically acts like Loom from AoE 2, where you get extra attack for your villagers, extra hit points, and you get the bonus of hunting dogs, but it's slightly less. But your villagers, I don't know the numbers, but the villagers are much more efficient than they would be without hunting dogs. Normally anyway. Apart from that, you just got some new pictures. So something that I have noticed is myth units you get for just anybody. So water myth units you get for everyone. So even if you're Zeus and you choose not to go through Dionysus, you want to go through Apollo, you still get the Scylla water myth unit, and you still get the crab guy, which is pretty cool. I think they spawn for free if I'm not wrong. Let's see if Hades also has that. Poseidon has the same ones. Yeah, they do. I mean, it changes slightly, but yeah, definitely a cool thing. And not just that. I skipped over one of the major changes where all of the types of boats are available in the classical age. So there isn't just this trireme fight where it's just archer ships and you just have to pull one back. You've got to do a bit of a triangle. So if they have a lot of triremes, then you want to get some juggernauts out. If they have a lot of juggernauts, then you want to get some pentacontas in there, and it's a bit of a trying to counter the units. I mean, probably all three are going to be good together. What I tried to do when I won the water was get mostly trireme and then get a couple of the other ones in there, because trireme just does the most damage anyway. Moving on here, we have the same buildings. We have the military academy, archery range, stable, armory. Now, markets can be built in the classical age, but you can't build any caravans from it. So this is something where it helps players like me, where the macro isn't perfect because you can buy and sell resources. So that makes it a lot nicer. But you can't get the donkey caravans until age 3, and this is the same for Egyptians and Norse. The fortress, so you get a fortress here. You need the fortress to get up to the mythic age now. It isn't building a market because you can build that in the classical age. You need a fortress type unit before you can get up to the mythic age, which I think is a really good change. Out of the fortress, you obviously get the heroes. you get your catapults, your Heliopolis, and your Gastrophetes as Zeus. That doesn't sound right. See what the other ones have. I assume that's just some bug with this. But anyway, yeah, because I've played a lot of Zeus, and you can only get Myrmidon. But you can only get Myrmidon from the fortress, so you can't spam 100 barracks and get loads of Myrmidon out. You have to build the expensive fortress that takes a long time to build, and you can only build 10 to get your Myrmidon out. So it's much harder to get them out. Now, if we go back to Poseidon, so we see some of the gods that we missed. So I just want to go through some of the most important upgrades. So Will of Kronos, whatever, very similar. But this upgrade is a really cool change. So Ares lends Hippaspis Sword of Dread, increasing their attack and enabling them an age earlier. So classical age, if you get this upgrade, you can then get Hippaspis, which is huge, because if you're against something like a Norse player where Hippaspis are just so good against them, where you'd want to rush heroic age, you don't have to anymore. You can just get this upgrade. I mean, it isn't the most expensive, so it's something that you can just get straight away as long as you've got the villagers on the favor, and it's just a really cool counter to someone that wants to go for pure Hersa or something like that. So for upgrades like this, I'm definitely here for. See if there's anything else exciting. Beast Slayer. I haven't actually seen what this does. No, I think that's very similar. So a lot of them have very similar effects, but I just want to point out the ones that are extra cool. And then I think we missed out on Aphrodite. And who else did we miss out on? I believe that is it. I guess we didn't look at Hera. Okay, now we'll go on to the Egyptians. So what are the bonuses for each of the Egyptians? And then we'll do the tech tree just like that. So Ra focuses on Migdal Stronghold units, so that's the same as the original. So they have definitely kept the same vibe and some of the same upgrades, but then added in something else or changed small bits, which I think is definitely the best way, because people are going to want to play their main gods that they played 20 years ago. So I like it. Priests can empower at 75% strength of pharaohs and 50% for all other aspects. Oh, pharaohs for the drop-off and 50% for everything else. I don't know the numbers of what the original is, but that is the situation, so they can still empower. Camel riders, chariot archers, and war elephants get more damage. So this is 20% extra damage, but in the base original game, it is 20% damage and HP, which is broken. So I like that that's a slight nerf to Ra, because that's something where even having the camels, it wasn't really relevant for Isis and Set, because they just didn't have enough health. Whereas now you can balance them differently. I mean, I don't think Ra got war elephant damage before, but still. So kind of shift rather than just a straight nerf. Monuments cost less and have more hit points. That happened before. And then something that I really like with all the Egyptians is they have an empowerment bonus on all of the monuments, which is really cool. So Pharaoh empowered monuments empower nearby buildings. Like, this one's broken, but if you put a load of buildings around a monument and you empower the monument, it's like you're empowering each of the buildings within that circle, which is crazy. But I like that they're doing a buff like that, because that's just really cool. Oh, I pressed right, and apparently that moved on to Isis, which is fine, because this is who we're going to talk about. So this is my favorite god from the Titans. So her focus is technology. It used to be economy and technology, I think. So monuments shield against enemy god power, so that is still the same. But if they get empowered, they double the radius. So say the Zeus player goes up through Hera and there's going to be a lightning storm, you can empower the monument to make them not be able to put it on the exact spot they want, and maybe that will force them to be a bit delayed. And that's just it's a really cool change. You obviously have to be aware about it, but again, empowering the monuments is just really cool. But not just that, empowered monuments heal nearby units and generate favor 100% faster. The empowering just does so much. The Pharaoh is really needed now, because the chariot archers train really slow, so you want to empower that. And also you want to empower your monuments to get more favor too. I mean, getting the 2 Pharaoh upgrades is becoming more important for ISIS, but I'm definitely here for it, and I want to play some more ISIS. Upgrades cost 10% less, which is always the same. Obelisks cost 5 gold rather than 10 gold, and wait, no, they cost 10 gold rather than 15 gold. That's it. And they build faster than the set and Ra obelisks. And they seem a bit stronger now because everything in the Archaic Age has less attack. So they have 50 health, so they basically have to get hit 50 times, which I really, really like, because ISIS scouting is just awful. But this makes it a little bit better. And then upgrades provide 0.33% hit points to human soldiers. Now, I haven't really been paying attention if this is doing much, but I imagine if you start getting loads and loads of upgrades, this could become pretty ridiculous, especially with elephants. But honestly, I haven't really been paying attention to it to see how much health it is actually getting your units. But still, a really cool change. This is obviously something that they've added to ISIS, which I'm all for. Let's now move on to Set, who's focused on barracks units. So he focused before on archers, so it was slingers and chariot archers, but now it's just barracks units, which I think is cool, because you get the barracks units, you get the Migdol units, and then you get some tech with the other gods. So pharaohs can summon animals of Set. That happened before. I played Set, and you can now summon elephants of Set in the Mythic Age. I didn't use them, so I don't know if they're better for food or attacking, or just both. But they are available, which is a nice change. Priests can convert wild animals, but converted animals lose 25% of their food. So a change with this, obviously it won't say here, but if an animal of Set is killed, even by yourself, by your opponent, the food is left on the floor. So if you go and attack with loads of animals and they all die, then they get lots of free hunt to have in their base. So that's something, maybe it's a nerf to Set, maybe it's just a balance change, or it's just something to bear in mind. But I think that's quite a cool change. And you can't really hunt elite stuff anymore. If you build a building on like a gazelle that's dead, you can still gather from it. So cool change as well. Barracks, siege works, and Migdals cost 25% less. So before that was just Migdals, but now it's barracks and siege, which makes sense because if you are the barracks unit guy, then you probably should have cheaper barracks. Monuments reduce the cost of units in nearby barracks and Migdal strongholds. So again, the monuments all have something extra, and Set's one is basically build all your buildings around monuments, because then you get everything cheaper. Which is, it incentivizes a lot of monuments for all of the gods, which is something that you want, because the favor limit is now 1,000, and you can rebuy god powers and stuff. So it's definitely relevant. So now we're going to move on over here. So this is a tech change that I definitely wanted to share. So rather than having the one where your animals are just stronger, he has something which makes your visions cost nothing, and the vision cooldown time goes down. So this is something where once you've used your first vision, you can basically get vision for free on a set cooldown, and that's his unique upgrade, which I think is a really cool upgrade. What else do we have? So we still have Shadoof, which obviously makes the farms cost less, and they build quicker. What else do we have here? So we have, for Nepthi, some of the upgrades have changed. So funeral rites, which used to be this Nebti one, which is basically what funeral rites is now. She compensates you with gold when your warriors fall in combat. So if you get this upgrade and you go in with loads of animals of Set, they die, then you basically get gold back for when your units die. So your units essentially cost less, basically, or the trades go more in your favor, which I haven't really used this one too much, because I kind of forget it's there because it's a new ability. But I mean, it sounds like it should be a good one for if your game's going late. It doesn't cost that much either, so it's pretty good. What else do we have? So this is again this upgrade, Serpent Spear. So this is the one where you get more damage for your spearmen, but in this you actually get a dot. You get damage over time when you attack something. So you basically get like a mini Scorpion Man special with your spearmen, which it's pretty sick. I mean, upgrades like this is what I'm here for. Everything else is very, very, very similar. You get the Necropolis upgrade still. So if we move on to the myth units now are crazy. Avengers are sick. I need to share that. So very, very similar to before. You still get mercenary. Mercenary are different though. So mercenary, rather than having a separate bar where they have their HP and then they have the bar that will then go down until they die, they slowly lose health. So even if they're not attacked, they slowly lose health. And obviously, when their health gets to 0, they die. So it's a nerf to the mercenary, and makes them more for what their purpose is, which is defending rather than attacking. Because what you would do normally is get mercenary cavalry from your hometown center, bring them in, and they've still got half their lifespan left, but they're still at full health. Whereas now they would be at half health, so they would be next to useless. Oh yeah, I probably should have shared that. So in the Wonder Age, which is a crazy thing, it costs so much to get the Wonder, but when you're in it, you get free Titan gates every 10 minutes, and every myth unit has 50% more attack, I think, and you get one favor a second. It's pretty bonkers. So all the upgrades are the same. I think this is wrong. Oh, Egyptians get the upgrades earlier than the Greeks, which is really interesting. I just thought everything. So in the Titans, this is how the layout is. So you get hand axe, then you get bow saw, then you get carpenters. So in age 1, 2, 3. But what it is, and I thought it was for the Egyptians too, but maybe not, is you get pickaxe, hand axe in age 1, you skip an age where you can't get anything, and then in the later ages you get your economic upgrades, which I quite like that change, because it stops people going like 2 or 3 town centers and then getting loads of upgrades and then they're just booming so hard. And so I definitely liked that change. Let's move back to set. So the Egyptians get the Leviathan and the War Turtle as their myth units from the docks, and they also have the same dock situation where you can get all 3 types of boats, which again is just something that I really love. The Egyptians still have obviously all of their monuments, so they have the same amount. They have 5. Then we have the barracks with the same units: the spearman, axeman, slinger. No Kopesh situation, thank God. Armories with everything. Say armories get ballista out of. I'm sure that's not right. Considering that's a Norse thing. So there's probably some bugs here, or not bugs, but some wrong bits. And then the Migdals still have, so they have the chariots, the camel rider instead of the camelry, and a war elephant. So yeah, that is the. Oh, actually, there's a really sick upgrade. Hang on, here we go. So Thoth makes war elephants stronger, cheaper, and reduces their population cost. So again, this is something where it would have just been the first 2, they would have been stronger and cheaper, but now they reduce the population cost, which is just an extra little buff, which is just really adds something to the game, which I think is really cool. We'll move on to the Norse ones now. Again, I don't want to go through everything in great detail now, because I imagine things are going to slightly change before Retold is fully out, and then I will go deep dive into each god, make a full video on each god. Okay, so Thor has some cool changes. So he still starts with dwarves instead of gatherers, which I find is everyone now starts with an extra villager. So you start with three dwarves. So I haven't really worked out a good build order yet, but it feels a bit weird, and you can't send all 3 to gold because then you have way too much gold. Dwarves cost less and gather food and wood 25% faster. So again, not sure about the 25% faster, but that's similar to the original. Dwarven Armory can be built and research upgrades at any age. So that's the same as Voobly Balance Patch, which is cool. But this is the new bonus. You receive a free dwarf for every Dwarven Armory upgrade researched. So if you get copper weapons, you then get a dwarf that spawns at your armory. And really cool. So you can basically get, what is that, like 12 free dwarfs for just the what is it? The weapons, mail, and shields, and then any extra armory upgrades that you happen to get, which is a really cool change for Thor. So now we'll move on to Odin. Odin looks a bit strange here. I didn't really comment on the other pictures. I think the Thor picture is really cool. Odin standing a bit front on, a bit strange. But he is the god of war, magic, and power. So he focuses the Great Hall unit. So the Great Hall is the new building. So the Great Hall, if I remember correctly, has raiding cavalry, hearses, the new hero ranged unit that I can't remember the name of, and something else. As you can tell, I haven't played it. I haven't played it too much. But yeah, this is so. Instead of having upgrades for the Hill Fort, he now has it for the Great Hall. And gatherers, dwarves gather 10% faster from natural food sources. So that's what he had before, but he had 20% extra from hunt. No. Excuse me. No, it's 10% extra from natural food. So berries and chickens still count in this. So it's a nerf, but not really, because you then get it from the other sources too. So still cool. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I was also going to say about fish, but gatherers and dwarves can't get fish, so ignore me. He still gets the 2 ravens when the temple's first built, and human units and heroes regenerate a certain amount of HP per second, which increases per age, which is a cool buff, because he got that before with when they were standing still, they got their hit points back, and now it just gets a little bit more. Now we're on to Loki, which I think is the best portrait out of all of them. If you can imagine Loki, but not in like a Marvel aspect, I think this is at least what I would picture. I think he looks great. Maybe could be a bit more green, but apart from that, focus is myth units. Obviously, that's what Loki is known for. Damaging enemy units can spawn myth units. So this is the same, but it's different. It's slightly different, where it isn't just hearses. Your human units can also contribute to it. So how it works is you get a set amount of favor. So say that Hearser number 1 needs to get a 5 favor to then get this Valkyrie. When he hits that to get that 5th favor, the Valkyrie spawns at him. But now the human soldiers also can have them spawn. So when they hit that mark of 5 favor or whatever the number is, it can spawn at any of them. So it can spawn at your raiding cavalry, your berserker, Ulfsark guy, or your Hearser. But Hearsers obviously do better with it. So I had it where I was raiding, and my raiding cavalry's got a Valkyrie, which is like, the perfect spawn for raiding. Human soldiers and heroes inflict more damage, which is a pretty cool upgrade to 25% bonus damage. Is quite a lot as well. Buildings construct 25% faster, which is really cool because obviously being Norse, you don't really want your guys to be building. You want them to be attacking or scouting or defending. So being able to build things faster is a great benefit. Then transforming gatherers and dwarves into berserks costs less food and less gold. So berserks are the new Ulfsark. They're basically the same, I think, but they just have a new name. And they have a female one now. And the female voice lines do sound good. So now we'll move on to the cheeky tech tree. Hang on. Sip my coffee. Then we go through to the cheeky tech tree. So Hall of Thanes is one of the ones that I wanted to highlight, because Hall of Thanes improves the speed of foot soldiers. So it isn't just heroes. Obviously, it gives more to heroes, but it also gives, especially heroes, but hero speed goes up by 5%, infantry 10%. I think those are the wrong way around if it says especially heroes. But imagine that heroes get 10% and infantry get 5%. It's what I imagine just from the wording. But again, cool upgrade, because then it does stuff to your horses, your cavalry, and whatever. Here's another upgrade, which is something different. So Heimdall, normally known for his aggressive play, but I feel like this would be quite a long-term goal technology. So Heimdall's guidance increases the speed which your buildings train units and research technologies, including advancing to the next stage, by 20%. So especially something like advancing to the next age, 20% less of that is actually really good for, building more villages and things. So I think this is probably quite a good upgrade. Njord causes your raiding cavalry to produce gold in addition to favor while fighting enemy units. I did not know that was a thing. I just hovered something that I hadn't seen before, and that is a really cool upgrade. We'll look at some of the pictures. We've got Forseti, Heimdall, Bragi, Njord, Hel, and Tyr. So the Nidhogg is sick, by the way. The Nidhogg has a new special. Well, has a special. It never had a special before, and now it's awesome. And we still get all of the giants, Rampage and Granite Blood. So Hel's still looking pretty similar. And for anyone that wondered, Ragnarok is still in the game. I haven't used it, and no one's used it against me yet, so I don't know what it's like. But just bear that in mind. Ragnarok still exists. So we'll go on to the tech tree for the Norse. So Gatherers, Dwarves, Berserk, which is the new Ulfsark in the Archaic Age. And Dwarves and Gatherers can build houses now, which I think is a really good buff for the Norse, because if all your units are forward and then you run out of population, you then have to put a house down and it just sucks. So I really like that. Is there a Mountain Giant upgrade? I've not seen this yet. Mountain Giants have more hit points, more attack, and better recharge time, and enables punt action. Oh, okay, so that's when you can start kicking people. I didn't realize that he had an upgrade. I need to play some Mountain Giants. So if we move on here, they also these guys also get the dragon ships, the longboats, the hammer guys in the classical age, and you still get the everyone gets the Kraken and the Jormundelver. So really cool. I haven't played too many water maps, so I haven't seen that. I think I've only played 2 games on a water map. Trolls are here. Trolls have a really sick special. So trolls throw a big boulder, and then that boulder knocks everyone away. I really like some of the new special abilities. So probably the most important thing for Norse is that their buildings are different. Now, I didn't have to remember who's in each one because I can see it here. So the Longhouse, the normal barracks, has Throwing Axemen, Herdman, which is a brand new unit, which is a counter to cavalry. So before, the counter cavalry was an Ulfsark, but they didn't really get that much bonus against it. So now we have like a proper counter cavalry unit. And then Huskarls can be built in the Longhouse too. And then bravery. Yeah, bravery is the same. They're moving into the new one, which is a Great Hall, which is 160 wood, which always takes me by surprise because it's just way more than the Longhouse at 80. But it's probably the better building, really, because you get your Hursars and you get your raiding cavalry, and you really the raiders are just so good in this because they're so fast and the villagers are much weaker. So you want to get your raiding cavalry out, you want to get your medium cavalry, and you want to be attacking as many villagers as possible. Then in the heroic age, you get the Godi hero. So this is the new range hero for the Norse, which is obviously a great addition. It's something that they were really lacking. Flying units they really struggled with, and they had that awkward upgrade for the Throwing Axemen, which just really didn't work. So yeah, Godi heroes. And then Jarls. So Jarls are now from this new Great Hall unit. Great Hall building, sorry. Do we not have the fortress? Oh, here. So fortress. Oh, Hill Fort, sorry. So Hill Fort gets portable rams. Apparently gets berserks in there. And ballista. So this is one where it said that you get them in the Egyptian armory, but that's definitely not right. You get them in the Norse Hill Fort. Now for a bit of a bonus, because we can't see them yet, but we can see that Kronos, Aranos, and Gaia are all coming soon, but we can see their tech tree. So rather than go through all of these upgrades, I'm just going to choose one and go through the tech tree, because this is something which is pretty crazy. So citizens are now 2 population, and you have a build limit of 50. So in the old game, they were 3 population, and they were like 125 wood, 125 food, 25 wood, I think. So they are now worth 2. So does that mean that they are worth 2 villagers rather than 3 villagers? Probably, which is a massive change, and I'm assuming that's why they didn't want to show it to us. Because this is just going to be a massive overhaul. I mean, just that change alone is a massive overhaul to the Atlantean civilization. So they get, again, they get all of the upgrades in the economic guild, which is the same as what it was before. The dock. So they get a servant in the classical age, which is crazy, because I'm pretty sure nobody else got a classical age myth unit. So that's an interesting thing for the Atlanteans. Then in the heroic age, they get these Nereids, which are a pain in the arse in the old game. But nothing in the mythic age. So they get basically weaker, cheaper myth units by the look of it. And then got the manners here. So what have we got? So we've got manners, supports 20 population. So it's the same thing. So the other ones had the build limit of 16 for the houses. So again, it's just 8 manners. So they still have their manor system, which is fine. Oracles. Oh, here we go. So oracles, scout whose line of sight grows when immobile. So that's still the same. Cannot attack, but generates favor. So will that be similar to Atlanteans used to have town centers getting them favor. So now I guess you need an oracle that's just standing there. I don't know how quickly they're going to generate that, whether or not they're going to need loads, whether or not it's a similar investment to, say, Zeus putting 5 villagers on a temple. Could you just get 5 oracles scouting and they get you the same amount of favor? That's something that's going to be very, very interesting. What else do we have? So we still have mirror towers. So maybe mirror towers build limit of 5. So this isn't restricted to a god. So this is just in general. So everyone gets mirror towers. I hope they're better than they are in the old game. So we still have Argus, which, blob of acid, which instantly kills most opponents. So it's basically going to be the same. Wait, does that mean that everyone gets those? No, it's just basing on this certain god. So actually, maybe not everyone gets the mirror towers. Maybe that's just, ignore that. So then we go into military barracks. So that is the same as the other one. We get the Mamillo, we get the Argus, we get the Cantaria. So that is still the same. You don't get anything extra from that. But if we move over to the counter barracks, so is this still the same? The Catapletes, the Terma, and the Chiroballista. So they are still the same. The fragile range soldier siege hybrid, only good against infantry and ships. So it looks like the units are pretty much staying the same, with the destroyer in the palace and the fanatics. So it looks like the biggest change is that citizens are now 2 population instead of 3. But we will go through this in more detail when we get access to them. But that is the tech tree and the bonuses for everything. If you have any questions about any of the upgrades that I didn't go through, because I want to go through those in proper detail when the game's fully out. But if you have any questions about individual ones, let me know. And I'll see you in the next one.